I guess the key thing about the site study, certainly for OCR, is it is and it should be a site study. We are very much against the idea of the environment study being simply another bit of history set somewhere else from all the other bits of history. For us, it's important that the environment is studied as a source of evidence alongside other sources of evidence at the same time, so that the candidates do get the full range of different experiences of historical study. So in terms of whether it's problematic, I guess that the first thing that's important to note is that there is no requirement to visit the site at all. That is not necessary. Of course, there's nothing to stop a class from going to that site. But there's no great advantage to be gained from that. And our mark schemes allow for candidates to make comparisons between the site that we've specified and sites that they have actually visited or indeed have studied. And so there's no disadvantage to not being able to go to a particular site. You don't have to go to any site at all. I think it's also important to recognise that this is an evidence-based unit. So you've got two comparatively straightforward questions in the exam, and with a strong emphasis on the use of source material. So once again, a detailed knowledge of every rock and bump is not what is required from this site. It's interesting that there has been some sort of talk of this being a difficult or problematic unit, and yet when we talk to students and the teachers who are currently working on the spec, they actually report this as the favourite part of the unit, and I think that's quite telling that it's in practice it's a lot less worrying than it might seem to be. And I think it's finally important to note that both the textbook has a dedicated section on castles with a fact file on each of the castles that are studied each year. And the English Heritage are producing dedicated resources written by their experts specifically for each castle each year as it's studied.
We're really looking forward to the castles topic. What we're going to do is we are building a unit which is about the general development and decline of castles across the country, looking a little bit at social, economic and military factors that go within that, and that will be some lessons that go at the front of the unit that stay the same year on year, and then there will be a number of lessons at the end which will be tailored directly to that year's castle. But the idea is that for the first one at Framlingham, we can build that first of all, and then we'll be able to take out the Framlingham elements and put in the Kenilworth elements for the following year, and that should be relatively straightforward to do, and thus we only change about a third of what we teach each year.
I'm really looking forward to the castles topic because recently in a trip I went to North Wales and I saw an old castle that had been torn down as part of war, and it was really interesting for me to look at what kind of parts there were in the castle and why it was placed where it was.